time, plays and theater productions have drastically changed. Some of the first controversial American plays that stood out were not around until the early 1900s. Plays earlier that didn't really set the stage, no pun intended, for what theater has become.
Death of a Salesman won a Pulitzer Prize for Drama and a Tony Award for Best Play. Arthur Miller took what was perceived as the American dream of having a perfect family and showed how it could be turned upside down. Miller's portrayal of the American family gave way for other playwrights to step out of the box and call out what they thought needed to be said. When Death of a Salesman debuted, people were stunned simply because the dream they had thought up was being proven wrong. There weren't any huge uproars, but people were just in awe because what they had previously believed was being disproved right in front of them.
Angels in America won a Pulitzer Prize for Drama and a Tony Award for Best Play as well. Tony Kushner followed Arthur Miller's footsteps by taking something that needed to be said and putting it in a play. Kushner took very strong ideas and put them in a play to show how people reacted to them. This play was accurate in depicting the public community and that the public reacted negatively. Not only did the public react negatively to the strong ideals in real life, they reacted negatively towards Kushner and his play. After all the dust had settled, Kushner had continued what Miller had started and paved the way for more freedom in the themes chosen in plays.
Avenue Q received awards for Best Musical, Best Book of a Musical, and Best Original Score. While Avenue Q is very crude and crass in subject matter, it isn't anything new compared to Death of a Salesman and Angels in America. It does, however, show how much the American public has changed in regards to acceptance of these types of productions. Viewers of Avenue Q are far more tolerant of the subject matter and themes today than they would have been when Death of a Salesman came out. This shows how much the theater-going public has changed and reflects how much the society they live in has changed as well.
On September 14, 1814, U.S. soldiers at Baltimore's Fort McHenry raised a huge American flag to celebrate a crucial victory over British forces during the War of 1812. The sight of those broad stripes and bright stars inspired Francis Scott Key to write a song that eventually became the United States national anthem. Key's words gave new meaning and significance through which generations of Americans have invested in the flag with their own meanings and memories.
Normally written for an orchestra, a symphony is an extended musical composition in Western classical music. Orchestras usually contain at least one movement and are the groundbreaking musical form that has created the genre of classical music.
The blues are recognizable around the world for their rich cultural connection to the African American heritage. The blues are a great reflection of American culture, especially of rural African American communities. The blues shaped the way to several other recognizable music genres, including jazz.
Rock and roll made the great achievement of integrating several different generations of music. Rock and roll has paved the way for self-declaration, free ideas, and originality. Rock and roll has had a huge impact on American society by consistently helping set the trend for pop music and influencing other genres of music like hip-hop.
Hip-hop music reflects its origins of young, urban, working-class African Americans. Hip-hop served as a voice of the often underrepresented group and has gained popularity throughout the years and has earned respect within the music industry.
From 1789 to 1797, George Washington was the United States President. Washington is especially important because he was the United States' first president. The importance of having the painting is that the large paper in front of Martha Washington shows a plan of the future city of Washington, D.C. at the time.
The title of this painting is actually the name of a Union Army directive, which forced everyone to evacuate to rural areas in western Missouri at that time. Bingham was definitely an enemy of General Ewing, leader of the Directive Order, and he wanted to make it known that Ewing was being harsh.
This piece contains 32 canvases, each containing a different soup can. Warhol used new methods of screen printing to debut this new idea of pop art. Warhol broke new barriers with this abstract expressionism art, and controversy of it being fine art made it extremely popular after the post-war period.
English, most known for his propaganda art, uses a collaboration of high and low cultural touchstones. This painting, incorporating the U.S. 16th and 44th presidents, is rumored to have directly impacted the outcome of the 2008 election. English made the painting, which was afterward made into prints to raise funds for the Obama campaign. The Virginia Capitol was designed by Thomas Jefferson in 1788. It is the first building to be designated as a neoclassic style. The Virginia Capitol highly resembles ancient temples and has heavy Roman influences. It draws a connection to our Roman Republic and our own government.
The Trinity Church was built in Boston in 1877. It is considered the peak of Richardsonian Romanesque, designed by H. H. Richardson. The central pillar itself weighs 90 million pounds. William Rush was a neoclassical sculptor that became the father of American sculpture. Although he apprenticed as a woodcarver, he was most famous for his busts. Very American for paving the way for the country, some of his most popular busts were modeled by American generals Winfield Scott and Andrew Jackson, who would later become the 7th president.
One of the pioneer female sculptors and youngest sculptors, she was the first woman to be employed by the federal government. Vinnie Ream was first and youngest woman to receive a commission as an artist from the United States government for a statue. Her most famous work is the Abraham Lincoln statue in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, which Lincoln modeled for her every morning for 5 months. Early 1900s sculptor Gutzon Borglum was most famous for Mount Rushmore in South Dakota, which he worked on with his son Lincoln Borglum. What he lacked in innovation, he made up for with patriotism. David Smith was an American abstract expressionist painter and sculptor, most famous for geometric sculpture and working with large steel and metals.
With bursts of creative energy and expression after World War II, he wanted to realize flat 2D works into the third dimension and explore concepts of positive and negative space geometrically. His most prominent works are those in the Cubist series and The Letter.